And this means, he says, that their value isn't a bubble that can collapse if people lose faith.
So an out-of-control state that is charging illegal taxes that came around in 1913. They're completely...
Those income taxes were introduced into the United States in 1913. Right. Before that was sin taxes.
That's not even obligational, okay? If you don't use this paper money that's backed by said state, a guy with a gun will come and blow your head off. And Paul Krugman describes that as having no friction. So, yeah, I guess if a guy showed up at his apartment with a machete and cut his head off, then it'd be like, that was frictionless. It only took 2 seconds. And then, okay, his head's missing. It only took 2 seconds. There's no friction there. We got our $20, we got our worthless piece of paper, though, from Paul Krugman. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is an exchange of currency that does not require men with guns. That's its primary use case. You don't need violence to exchange in Bitcoin. Like the New York Times columnist is suggesting that only the money is violence. This is underwriting all the wars. This is underwriting the Pentagon. They take half of our taxes. This is terrorism, okay? So Paul Krugman is saying, oh, if you're able to exchange back and forth without violence, oh, I'm against that. Why? Is it because that's where your money comes from, Paul Krugman? Are you just a lackey for the war industry? Oh, what a surprise, Paul Krugman. Your kids must be really proud of all the blood that you have on your hands, you disgusting pig. But anyway, what else?
Well, I mean, I'm going to tie this together with that first story that we talked about, which is the Financial Conduct Authority says that they were created by politicians to create an illusion that there was somehow regulation of the banking sector going on and none of these crimes would happen again. But had Paul Krugman, what you're seeing there as well, is him trying to deny any of the theories of Austrian school. So in Austrian school, they would say all value is subjective. It all comes from the human mind. And he's saying, no, a gun in your face by a SWAT team or the FBI will force you to believe in the dollar again. If you lose faith in the U.S. dollar, they will knock down your door, hold a gun to your head, and demand you have believe in the value of the U.S. dollar. That's what he's saying. But if he also read David Graeber's History of Debt, he would have found that it's humans, it's people, because they have their own minds and thoughts, and that includes trust and not trusting. So what happens when we go to gold, it wasn't about friction, it was about trust. So we would have credit-based systems for very long periods of time when things were harmonious, and the soldiers and the people believed in the government, and they had faith in the government. During times of war and conflict, it was the mercenaries and the soldiers who didn't believe that their government would be basically good for the credit, for them to go across to the Middle East from Rome and go down to Jerusalem and start fighting some other people around the world. They wanted gold, right? So these gold standards and stuff like that were based on the trust of the people. Obviously, our governments are having it very good with a pure fiat system. They love it. Our government doesn't have to do anything. But the people are the ones that chose Bitcoin. They're the ones that created Bitcoin. The Genesis block of Bitcoin on January 3rd, 2009 said Chancellor on brink of second bailout. That was referring to the bailout of RBS and these other UK banks. So these all go hand in hand, that it's all about, they have created these Potemkin currencies, Potemkin regulators to back their fiat fake system, and now it's basically they're exposed. All the population sees that it's